the monthly Woodbridge Board of Finance meeting for Thursday, March 21st, 2013. And the first item on our agenda is public comments. I don't believe there are any. And the second item on our agenda is the Amity budget presentation, the final Amity budget presentation by Dr. John Brady. This was a revelation for us. We never had these, and we look forward to them every year. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Brady.
Thank you very much. Good. Paul, can you hear me? Can you hear me standing here? Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Giglietti, and I'm pleased to be here with the Woodbridge Board of Finance to tell the annual Amity story. I think it's a good story, and I hope you appreciate the efforts that the district is making on behalf of your town and the students of Woodbridge. As I say each year, we thank you very much for your support of the elementary districts as well, because you're sending us students that are eager, capable, committed, and persistent learners, and that helps us do our job. With me this evening is Jack Levine, our Director of Finance and Administration, and Marie McPad may be a new face to you. She is our Director of Curriculum and Staff Development, and she replaced Sheila Wysanowski on July 1, after Sheila retired. So welcome to Marie. I wanted to start with a information that I obtained from one of our journals. It's called Scholastic Educator, and it sheds a new light on the value of education to a community. It's the first time that a study has been done by an economist trying to calculate the value to a community of the investment of education. It was done in Virginia Beach, Virginia, just a few months ago. And they calculated in Virginia Beach, Virginia, that for every dollar spent, there was a return of $1.55. And the reason why there was a return on that investment is for three major reasons. One, real estate values were higher in the community because of the quality educational system. This was calculated by this economic study. Two, there was a healthier, more stable, and less a population that got less involved in criminal activity. And they attributed that in significant measure to the quality educational system. In our case, of course, it's preparing students to go to the colleges of their choice, and they have, hopefully leading healthier lifestyles and not getting involved as frequently as criminal justice system. So I think there's some parallels. Thirdly, they felt that there was a value in that the economic earning power of the educated, as we all know, is much higher than those who are not educated. And of course, in our case, we're talking about preparing students for college and career, and so they can have decent incomes in their careers as well. So the reason I point that out is because I think too many times people look at education as just a cost and not an investment. And I'm going to take you through some slides here that show you the educational outcome, the educational return on investment. But I wanted to point out that there's actually now been an economic study done to look at the monetary return on the investment of communities investing in their educational system. As you all know, we have a large board, 13 members, 4 from Woodbridge. And our Amity Finance Committee is critical to the budget development process. We actually bring my budget request to the Finance Committee first for comment, input, suggestions, direction, and so forth before it even goes to the Board of Ed. And the Finance Committee does a great job giving us that direction. I wanted to say that when I say iterative process, it really is an iterative process. We are in the process, even today, of still finalizing the number. Right now, you're going to see that the percentage increase budget to budget is 2.49%. I feel that when we bring the budget to a final vote of the board after the district hearing, it'll be somewhat lower than that, although I can't be precise about that. But we're working to whittle that down a little bit further. We, as you know, have a critical goal in Amity of providing the highest quality educational programs and services possible at the most reasonable cost. And that's our #1 goal when we're putting the budget together. You're going to see in the slides in a few moments that we have a significant challenge this year in a whole host of new under or unfunded mandates coming from the state government. We also this year are fortunate to have what I'm considering some modest enhancements which will help us move the program forward. Now this is what I call the Amity report card. This is where you see the educational return on your investment. Last year, Amity District was rated number 5 in the entire state of 155 school districts. That's a pretty significant accomplishment. The high school was rated number 4 of 191 high schools. Higher than Staples High School in Westport, Connecticut. Staples was number 8. My old stomping grounds. So I always like to benchmark. I like to benchmark where we're at, and I hope that Westport's looking at Amity and saying, look where Amity went. This is a very significant accomplishment here. Number 5 in the entire state in our AP exam results. That means the number of students, or the percentage of students achieving a 3, 4, or 5. What's most significant about this is that, look at the number of exams taken. We've had a concerted effort to have more and more students who are taking these courses take the exam. And we have a host of reasons why we encourage them to take the exam. It benefits them in terms of college acceptance. It benefits them in terms of preparation for future standardized assessments they're going to have to be taken. They may be taking the LSAT, they may be taking the MCAT, they may be taking financial standardized assessments that they need to for their careers. So the more they take those assessments, the better off they are, we believe. At the same time that the number of exams increased by almost 100, the percent passing went up to 91.8%. The teachers were very concerned that the number was going to go down because the more people taking the test, they were just thinking, you know, maybe some of the weaker students were going to take it. Not the case. And I think that's a tribute to our students and our faculty. Also, we administer the Connecticut Mastery Test, which is the state mandated testing program at our 7th and our 8th grade. Very good performance and consistent performance now. What we've attained at Amity is consistency of high level performance. At one point we were all over the place. One year we're up, next year we're down, up, down. Very consistent, like a sawtooth. Now what we're seeing is more consistent results in the top third of the DIRG. These are really at the top of the DIRG. The DIRG is the district reference group. There are 19 districts in the district reference group. As examples, Guilford, Madison, Trumbull, Monroe, Fairfield, Greenwich, West Hartford, Simsbury, Avon, Glastonbury, and so forth. So those are the towns that we're compared to. And we do very well in comparisons within our DIRG. At the 10th grade level, we give the Connecticut Academic Performance Test. And you can see again, and these are, now I can tell you since 2010, we've had consistency. We're not saying that we're going to be number 1 every year, but we believe that with the students that we have and with the faculty that we have and the resources that we have, we should be in the top tier of the DIRG, and we should be consistently in the top tier of the DIRG. And we've attained that goal. And I can show you as an example, in 2010, of those 19 districts, we were number 14 in science. For the past 2 years, we've been either 2, 3, 4 in science. Same thing was, we had a problem in mathematics. We were last in the DIRG in 2010. We addressed the issue, we put some resources in place, we reorganized some courses, and this past year we were number 6 in the DIRG. I think last year we were 4 or 5 in the DIRG. So that's what I'm looking for, is consistency of high-level performance. On the CAP test, there are 4 levels of performance. There's below basic, basic, proficient, goal, and advanced. Amity students were number 1 in the DIRG at the advanced level. And that has been a consistent outcome for us. Our top students do exceedingly well on these assessments. That's almost 25% of the class scoring at the top of the DIRG on the CAP test. That means that they get the advanced status in all 4 subtests of the assessment. We test not only at the top levels, AP and so forth, in the standardized testing, but we have a range of offerings at Amity because we have a range of students. I like to say we have something for everybody at Amity. We have not only advanced 2022 advanced placement courses, we have a culinary program. We have an automotive program. We have business courses. We have graphic design. We have digital movie making. We have a range of courses that meet the needs of a range of students. We give an assessment called the CTE every year. And this past year, 102 students took it, and they achieved the highest percentage of students passing that test in Amity history. And in two areas, in computer information and in video production, our students scored #1 in the state. We have to be very cognizant of our student body and who we are serving. Who is our customer? 95% of the class of 2012 went on to continue their education. 86% went to four-year colleges. That's who we're serving. That's why we have the emphasis on the academic program that we have. Our job is to help kids be prepared to meet their dreams and their goals. And many of our students have very high goals. And many of the families of these students have very high aspirations for them. Our job is to help them attain those. And I think I'm confident that we are. Of the colleges that students apply to, we look at the Barron's College Guide. It ranks colleges by how selective they are for admittance. The top schools are called the most selective, and then the next level is called the highly competitive institutions, and then competitive and then non-competitive. 226. Now we had about right around 400 students graduate. 226 acceptances were offered to the most selective institutions in the country. Now that's a duplicated number. So I might have been offered acceptances to 3 most selective colleges. So not 226 kids were offered most acceptances, but 226 acceptances were offered. And 360 acceptances were offered to highly competitive colleges. These are the schools that many of our students want to attend. So that's a key accomplishment for us. That was the academic list of the return on investment. Now we turn to the arts, because there are 3 pillars of the Amity system: academics, the arts, and athletics. And we want to be balanced across those 3 pillars. And I think you'll see that we are. In terms of the arts, we consider these fine arts: painting, ceramics, photography. And you can see some of the awards at regional, statewide, and local competitions that our students participate in. This is at the high school level. And then at the middle school level, I know that you have a wonderful band at Beecher Road School, and those students go to a wonderful band program at the middle school in Bethany. And they do general band music, but they also do fantastic jazz band. And you can see from the awards that they've been garnering that they are outstanding. This has really been a boon for Amity, really for 5 years now. It's amazing that it's gone by so quickly, 5 or 6 years. But these performances, we do a smaller performance in the fall. We did Boys Next Door, and then they came for me about Anne Frank. Almost Maine, that was a fall production. It's a play. And then past year, we did Whose Life Is It Anyway? We try to do something provocative for our students. They want to be challenged. They want to think about current events. They want to talk about them. So we do that. And we do these fall productions in an assembly, so that we will do an assembly with freshmen, an assembly with sophomores, and so forth. And then after the performance, the lights come up, the cast comes out, sits on the edge of the stage, and there's a moderated discussion with the audience about the issues raised in the production. Sometimes we'll bring an expert in to help with the issues. This past year, you see this situation here, this was a play about assisted suicide. And students were very intrigued by all the issues on either side of the issue. And they had a very healthy discussion about it. It's not preaching pro or con, it's just causing thinking and discussion. Oh, let me go back if I can. I meant to just point one other thing out. You may have heard about this, Sweeney Todd. There are a few good seats left. Only a few. It's going to be performed on April 5th, 6th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. I would say if you're interested, you should try to pick up a ticket. And we have, this is just another example of our students, middle school students. We've got a pretty good strings program, but I think that's something we're focusing on and trying to build the program. Next year, for the first time, we're going to actually have a symphonic orchestra. We have not had our strings and our, what is it, Marie? Not. We have strings and band. There's a musical term for woodwinds and all that stuff. Everybody's going to be together. We have percussion, we're going to have woodwinds, we're going to have the strings, we're going to have an orchestra. And that'll be the first time at Amity in anybody's memory. So we're very excited about that. Give our students more opportunities for performance. And then the third pillar is in the athletic program. And you know, all the areas of the program, this is the one that gets the most coverage. You see it in the sports pages all the time. Lost a heartbreaker in the first round of the tournament in hockey this year. Got eliminated. We were the first seed. Newtown was number 17. We lost to them 2-1. It was a heartbreaker. And Gary Lindgren, the coach, really thought we may have, this was a shot where we could have gone all the way. So, but it was kind of, they felt good for Newtown. We do have currently city champions in softball, and you can just see for yourself the Division Championships of Housatonic Division and the Southern Connecticut Conference Championships. Our girls swimming team has really come alive, beating Cheshire last year for the first time. Cheshire is a very powerful swimming program. And we also have, you know, coaches who get honored. Tom Jacobs was runner-up national track and field coach last year. Proud of him. And this is another area that we really thank the community for, because our students come to us geared toward helping the community in volunteer ways. And these are just, this is a very short list of some examples of how they do that. They raise over $4,000 for Sandy Hook. They're one of the biggest donors in the annual Red Cross blood drive of any high school in the state of Connecticut. We have a very active Habitat for Humanity program. They go into Haven, build houses, and it goes on and on. They're always looking for, and these are legitimate. These kids are legitimately committed to these volunteer efforts. It's not just filling out the resume. The last area that we talk about before we get into the numbers is our operations. We're very proud of how we have honed our non-educational operations. As Matt very well knows, we've got, and if you've looked through the budget document, if you haven't had a chance, there's a whole list of non-educational operations in medical insurance, in the efficiency of our lighting, in conversion to gas, as Woodbridge converted to gas from oil. We have found ways to operate the organization at reduced cost and with tremendous savings to the community. We're the first district in the state to implement the health savings account, high deductible health savings account insurance plan about 5 years ago. And at the time, that was very cutting edge, and it saved millions. It literally saved millions. Teachers saved money for, but it also saved money for the taxpayers. So those are just some of the examples. Oh, and the governor was here to recognize us for the we got a couple of solar projects going. One at the main high school building, and we're heating our water with solar power at the field house. And also he wanted to recognize us for the conversion to gas, which we went live with, by the way, before the students even returned in August. We had everything ready to go. We are part of the load shedding program for UI, which means they call us a half an hour ahead of time in the summer, say shut your air conditioning off. And for participating in that, I think it's about a $40,000 savings, Jack, is that right? Whether they call us or not, they reduce our charges by $40,000. We've been doing that for about 4 years now. And this is something we're very proud of. Jack really should be credited with the fact that for 4 years in a row, we have had an audit with no management letter, no recommendations. I guess they call that a real clean audit. An audit in terms. Matt knows what that means. And this is V. Gibbons. She's in Orange. She's our assistant principal in Orange, and she is the assistant principal of the year. So, where do we go from here? Get into some numbers. We do have some issues this year that we knew that we were going to have to confront with this budget. Last year, our teachers took a zero increase. That means no step movement and no cost of living raise. So we knew that that was going to be a place that we needed to grow from this year. So we didn't have we took $700,000 out of the budget last year and needed to go in the budget this year. We also have $300,000 of carryover funds from last year in the current year's budget. So there's $1 million right there that we started, I say, in the hole with in terms of building this budget. At the same time we were having those issues, our revenues are down by $430,000. Building construction grant from the old project, we knew this. It was, it's been in the schedule for years. Decreased by over $300,000. Just as an example of reduction in revenues. We are in the process of working this number, but at this point in time, our insurance consultants tell us this is the number that we should be putting in the budget. So right now, the budget that you're looking at has the $403,000 increase for medical. We need to make some improvements in our sites. We have to do some pointing of the bricks. We remain committed to our preventative maintenance program and not let the buildings get in the shape that they were in 7, 8 years ago. With that should never happen again. Get that far behind. And we're committed to that, and we've been very successful at maintaining that. And then you're going to see some detail on those underfunded mandates. The legislature's been very busy with education reform, they call it. The governor calls himself the education governor. Well, this is what some of that means. We've got to spend money to train our teachers in how to convert our curriculum to Common Core state standards. You may have had some familiarity with this because this is across the board, K-12. We have to send a number of teachers to ACES this summer to learn how to do this. We need to purchase assessments because our teachers now are going to be rated in terms of their evaluation on a standardized assessment. And in grades where they do not have the CMT or the CAP, we need to administer a standardized assessment to all our students, the results of which will be factored into the teacher evaluation. We have to increase our consulting services, particularly in the area of occupational and physical therapy for students with special education needs. I'm throwing those in the underfunded mandate domain. These are the pupil services. This is the number I just showed you. We have a student coming from the elementary level with a one-to-one para because of their unique special needs. We need to have that para come with the student so that student can be serviced properly. And this is an interesting one. We have had a girls varsity hockey team for about 7 years. It's been a cooperative team, first with St. Joe's and North Haven, now with Cheshire and North Haven. And the reason you have a cooperative team is because you've got girls that want to play hockey, but you don't have enough of them. So if you don't have enough of them, you've got to join another school system. And this, by the way, came as a result of a Title IX complaint that we were not offering girls ice hockey. So we formed this cooperative team. If you get to the point where you have 15 girls that want to play ice hockey, you cannot be on a cooperative team any longer. You must offer your own team. So we have 22 girls next year that want to play ice hockey. So we have to put ice hockey. The alternative is to take boys ice hockey out. And we decided not to do that. So we need some dollars to fund. Most of this is ice rental time. Ice rental is very, very expensive. It's like $375, $400 an hour. And in order to meet the standards of the new Common Core, which we're being mandated to implement, we need to purchase some textbooks that are consistent with the Common Core. That's an $87,000 item. We have restrained our purchases, our replacement of technology over the past 4 years because of quote-unquote difficult economic times. Actually, in the other two towns where I presented this budget, people were uniformly surprised that we haven't replaced computers for 7 years in the other two member towns. And we're kind of shocked that we have fallen so far behind. But when you get, last year we had a 0.47% increase. The year before that it was 0.7% increase. It's hard to maintain your equipment replacement program when you're having increases of that size. So it's time to do some replacement of existing computers laptops, and we need some network switches. We also are one of the last high schools in the state without a digital photo lab. The only photography we have is film photography, where students are actually taking the pictures, going in the darkroom, using the chemicals. And what we've realized is there is no application in the commercial world for film photography. There's a small niche in the art world for film photography, but if students are interested in visual representation, which is what they're doing now with all their presentations and so forth, they need to learn digital photography skills. So we have this is when I said earlier, we have some modest improvements in the budget. This is one of them. We're going to put a digital lab in. We're going to take we're going to convert the current photo darkroom classroom into a digital photography lab. And it'll also have digital music capacity. We have digital music labs at both of our middle schools and not at our high school. So students get involved in it, they get good at it, they get interested in it, and they get to high school and they don't have that opportunity. So we need to have that continuation available for them. I mentioned earlier some of these facilities projects, just basic repairs that need to be done. This is some work. In addition to the equipment we need for digital, we need to actually do some reconstruction of the classroom. We have to take the darkroom out, and we have to refurbish that space, so we're going to do that. At this point in time, I'm not sure whether this is actually going to pan out or not. We'll know more before the board takes final action on the budget. But we're getting numbers now. At the time that we put this budget together, it looked like we were going to need another section of French and another section of Spanish. We're watching that carefully. After the Newtown tragedy, we made a decision to increase one of our security guards from half-time to full-time at the high school. The high school had been asking us to do this, but we've been resisting it because we've got pressures on the budget. We've made some transfers. We were able to get it this year, and now we want to fully fund it for next year. And this is the cost of that half-time position. We have 2 new courses that we're going to offer, and we need some textbooks and supplies for those. We already have 46 students that have signed up for this, and we have 24 or 5 or so students who have signed up for the physics/engineering course. This is a course that will teach kids the theories of physics and allow them to apply them immediately. We find that a lot of students get lost in the theoretical physics. This gives them an application outlet for it, and that's why we're interested in doing it. Yes.
With regard to the computer replacements,
yep.
Do you have like a 3-year, 5-year?
We have a 5-year replacement plan.
Okay. And so you will put that forward, and the board will?
Yes, it's in your budget document actually. Okay. We just haven't been able to stay with it. If you look at your budget, you'll see how much we spent last year. It was like 50-something thousand, and we should have spent 385,000, something like that. Yeah, okay. We do have the plan. We know what we need. We've just diverged from it because of the difficult economic times. This just shows, what I've been saying. We have not had large budget increases in Amity in the past few years. We do have some balancers in the budget. We took a very close look at class sizes at the high school, and we felt very confident that we could reduce, through attrition, these 3.2 positions and maintain class size and continue to offer the sections that we're currently offering. We are having a slight reduction in enrollment at the high school next year. So I've gone back to the administration 2-3 times, and the board has asked me to do this to make sure that this reduction was not going to have a negative impact on the program, and we're confident that it will not. We do have a benefit here. We've done 2 things. One, we've refinanced some bonds, and we're going to see the benefit of that next year. And we just had some money, did a final audit on all the projects that we had done over the summer, the roofing project, some of the other big item projects. We did some ventilation work, and we had some money left over, about $64,000. So we're going to put that in the debt service fund, and we were able to reduce the budget by that $64,000. That's a balancer. And you can see some of the other things. A little bit of reduction from Mary Ariola's good work, making appropriate programs back in the district for special education students. We're seeing a little bit of a decline in our special education tuition and transportation budget. we think that we know that we've saved. Last year we took $525,000 out of the budget because we went to self-insurance. And you can see, just basically, this is just a breakdown of what we expect that we're going to have to spend and what we anticipate being in the reserve account. We're getting some pressure from some board members to increase that, what's it called, Jack? Reserve account, where you have money set aside in case your claims exceed what you budgeted. Because at the end of the year, you're not quite sure because all your claims aren't in. All your claims aren't in by July 1. So if you get a rash of claims in June, you haven't even seen them yet, you closed your year out, and now you've got claims, you need to pay them. You need to pay them out of last year's money. So that's called the reserve account. And the insurance consultants and the experts say you should be up somewhere around 20–25%. Now we're not there yet. We're building to that. We're confident that we have what we will need going forward for next year, though. Now, this is just how much money we've saved in debt service because of refinancing over the last few years. This is a breakdown by major accounts of the variances that we've already talked about. You see reduction in debt service. You see the major driver here. I said it was 700,000, but we've got some offsets because we've got some reductions now at 3.2. So that's not going up quite as much. This is the debt service from our construction projects. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. You can see what we still owe outstanding over here, paying it off. And you can notice that our enrollment last year, current year, this year, stable. This is the first year Woodbridge has actually increased in terms of their enrollment. They're going up slightly next year. Of course, the small numbers mean a lot in a big budget, so you'll see that. Even Bethany, because of the reduction in the revenues this year, even Bethany's allocation is going up a little bit. If you look at the whole entire state, current data shows that the average approved Board of Ed budget is 3.77. Ours is right at 2.49. And while I can't be precise about downward movement, I'm confident that that number is going to come down before the board finally votes on it on April 8th. So this is the big page that everybody's always interested in. What exactly do we need to raise as revenue from the towns to fund the Amity for next year? We're going to need $8,714,000 from Bethany, almost $22 million from Orange, $13 million from Woodbridge, for a $668,000 increase for the town. And that's due to the two things, as I mentioned. You've got an increase in enrollment, and we have a decrease in other revenues. So that has to be made up. The total overall increase for Amity is $1,085,000. And we are not anticipating, another thing that I meant to mention, we're not anticipating the type of surpluses we've had over the last few years. The budgets have gotten tighter and tighter and tighter. And we've basically exhausted these non-educational efficiencies. The self-insurance we've done, the HSA we've done, the conversion to gas, the electrical retrofitting. We've done all those things. And we don't have any more of those non-educational rabbits to pull out of the hat. So with the decline in revenue and the fact that we've exhausted those efficiencies, we're where we're at. And I think actually, given the fact that we started with over $1 million in the hole, the fact that we've got a 2.49% increase, and we've got a few things in here to help move the program forward, I'm proud of, to be honest with you. I think it's a good budget. This is just the visualization of what I just showed there in that slide for you visual learners. And you can just see where we get our other revenue from. There's not a lot of it. Most of it comes from the taxpayers. This is going to continue to fall. It's going to fall right off the cliff. I think next year's only about 36,000, and last year was, about 300,000 or so, because it's declined by 300,000 this year. Just to point out that Woodbridge gets this number from the state on a yearly basis. That's based on a combination of Beecher students and Amity students. That's how that number is calculated. Even though we're a district, you get credit for those students. Now this is an interesting slide, and it's not meant to criticize or draw negative attention to anyone. It's just to show that when you're looking at a breakout of education costs and support services, that's the line that the State Department of Education gives us. They strip away all the budget items that are not comparable from district to district. For example, we have a pension in Amity for our non-unionized, our non-certified employees. Beecher Road does not have a pension in its budget. You have it. The town manages the Beecher Road non-certified pension plan. We have in our budget $5 million of debt service. The town district does not have debt service in the budget because they don't own the buildings. The town does. The state disaggregates all that, and they come up with this this per pupil cost called education costs only. And when you look at this, it's a very interesting story. Amity actually spends less money than any of the 3 elementary districts when you're looking at the educational services only. And as I showed you earlier, we're getting a lot of bang for that buck. So, pleased with that outcome. I hope you are too. And this is what I was saying earlier. These have been our budget increases. I thought this one was up here actually, but you can see it wasn't that long ago. So for over the course of the last 5 years, we've averaged less than inflation. The time to catch up, that's why you see that number for the replacement equipment. That's why you see that number for the new equipment. And with that, we think we've put a good package together. This is our students who have made blankets for youthful victims of cancer, and they bring these blankets down to St. Raphael's. And the generosity just continues there. So. All right, I'm done with my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
My pleasure.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
I'd just like to thank Dr.
Great
Brady
job.
for all the assistance that he gave us in getting the natural gas line. We were supposed to hit it the 15th of August. I think we hit it the 17th, which is...
It was fantastic. And then as soon as it was in, we were getting ready. We were converting our boilers, and we were ready to go. We fired it up, and it's been terrific. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank the town of Woodbridge for spearheading it. I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with the town of Woodbridge and all of you for the past almost 9 years. This is my last budget presentation, so good luck to all of you.
I would just say a couple of things. When I heard Dr. Brady was retiring, of course I was saddened, but I'm very happy for him. Life ahead of him, planned. He's going to be moving, I guess, to Cape Cod, maybe.
I have a house on Cape Cod,
yeah.
So I'm going to spend the summer there. I'm not sure at this point whether I'm going to sell my Westport home or not. No, not for the time being. Not right away.
When he came, when I first met with him, I think the conversation I had was, we had just gone through the first time that Woodbridge voted down budgets, and I said, if you start putting together good budgets, you're going to find that Woodbridge is going to be your biggest supporter, and I think we've come through in that regard.
Absolutely.
And again, it's been a pleasure working with you. I'm going to miss you terribly. I'd like to say you've become a friend, aside from the superintendent of schools, and I've enjoyed working with you. And the results are here. I mean, he's done a fantastic job of turning this what was a disaster around, and the results speak for themselves. Again, he's brought in some fantastic people. Jack, we went from audits that were just a disaster to awards, and thankfully Jack is going to stay with us, which is a good thing.
Let me tell you one quick story.
Sure.
My first budget year here, Jack's predecessor, I had the whole budget put together, PowerPoint ready to go. He came into my office and said, I made a mistake. Oh, what is it? I forgot to put $800,000 in the budget for medical insurance. So I knew at that point that I needed somebody else.
And he also, we had issues with air quality and building maintenance, etc. And he brought in Jim Sisa, who I think Joe could give a heads up for Jim Sisa.
Absolutely.
He's a terrific,
Greatest facilities manager ever.
really great staff over there. So again, we've enjoyed working with you, and regrettably, it's the last time we'll be seeing your budget. Hopefully, we'll keep seeing you, but Good luck in your retirement.
Thank you.
I'd just like to join what Matt said, and having served on a committee that recommended that the Board of Education resign, and then seeing the situation that you inherited and now turning it into a state-of-the-art high school, model high school for the state of Connecticut, we can't thank you enough, and we hope your predecessor does as well.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
He's got to rush. He's got another presentation today. Okay.
Just you were also required to capital plan.
Oh, okay.
You have the book.
I have the book, yes.
It's right at the end. It's
Great.
facilities and also technology.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
I will work on that. Thank you.
I see you.
Jack, take care.
See you, Jack.
See you next month. Let's just take a 2-minute break. Okay, the third item on our agenda is Director of Finance and Operations report. Tony?
Thank you. You have a report through February of 2013. It is a budgetary surplus of a little under over $200,000. Some items for your review are intergovernmental revenue, which we discussed, about $60,000 distribution from our revenue sharing grant, which is not in the budget. Department of Revenue to be pretty close to budget. We have some budgets that are ahead of the collectively, including zoning permits, building permits, and the like, town clerk fees, transfer station fees. In contrast to that, our experience with our golf revenues are about $75,000 shortfall through February. So that generates roughly a pretty even budget with our department revenues. In our expenses, we have something new here. Our waste management has got a surplus of about $35,000 due to some tonnage, less tonnage than we had budgeted for. We do have one application currently in front of FEMA for a 75% reimbursement of eligible expenses, and we have so far given them all the information that they've requested concerning. It's basically the two big ones are for public safety and for public works. We've provided both of those to FEMA. Public works has been returned to us, and I want to say it's a little over $200,000 is the amount that we'll be getting back for that one. We still have not heard yet on public safety, but I think what happened was they had Storm Nemo come in, and it sort of put them behind schedule. So we're hopeful to hear about the public safety application shortly. That mainly involves fire and police. In addition to that, we've met with FEMA on a separate occasion for Storm Nemo, and provided them with all of our expenditures from typically they cover a 48-hour period in a storm of this type. There has been a request from the state to increase that to 72 hours. And basically what you do is you pick your area where you had the most expenses, and then you can get 75% of that reimbursed. So we're waiting to hear on whether or not there is a designation for the storm first, and second, if there is, what time period that will be. So we'll stay tuned. As soon as we hear something, we'll let you know.
Any questions for Tony on the monthly report? Okay. Woodbridge Board of Ed, we'll be talking about that, I guess, a little bit coming up. So, any other questions? Okay. Anything else, Tony?
No, that's it.
Okay, item 4, additional FY14 budget recommendations. I know I gave Tony a, as Dr. Brady said, from when we last met, they were able to save an additional amount, I forgot how much, about $19,000?
Right.
So that's already,
That's in
Tony's
there
already put that in
already,
there.
right.
And this is what's great about Dr. Brady and Jack, is that they're continually fine tuning it. It seems to be going down, so. I'm sure, as he said, he's not sure, but we'll probably have a further reduction in their budget, which will help us, of course.
Okay, so there are a few recommendations for your consideration for the budget. And if you take into account these recommendations, the budget increase will be 1.45% over the prior year, which would be, and there's a sheet attached for your review, 34.22 would be the mill rate. And I wanted to review these, several of which we've discussed previously. So the first is on the revenue side. There's a recommendation to increase revenue from building permits from 75 to 145. That just keeps us in line with where we've been over the past 3 or 4 years, sort of our regular activity. I have discussed this with the building official, and something that I would feel comfortable recommending. So that's the first. And then there's 4 expenditure changes. First is on the part-time clerical for the fire department, and this is based on a recommendation from the personnel committee, which is to have the rate of pay be similar to those in town hall with similar experience in job duties. So, and it's at 26 hours a week. So that's a more of a comparative salary, and so that's where that budget was recommended for this position.
And that was the recommendation of the personnel committee?
Correct.
Okay.
We've received some information from the gas company and from our consultant, and after reviewing all of our accounts, the center natural gas account could be reduced by $5,000. That's probably the only one I would feel comfortable at this point reducing. So that was another recommendation for you to consider. And then there are a few capital items. First is the Parks Department vehicle, which would be a decrease of $30,000, and Recreation Vestibule, a decrease of $27,000. Both of those would be recommended to be purchased with this year's contingency. And the final is, there are 2 sort of recommendations for the Woodbridge Board of Education. The first is there's a statement from Dr. Stella, Margaret Hamilton, Steve Fleischman, and the School Board Finance Committee, which is the second page there, which, if you read through it, indicates that they are recommending that we decrease their budget by $93,518. That's their operating budget, to make it a 0 increase from the prior year. So at the same time, there's been a request to help fund a telephone system that's in dire need of replacement. And from what I understand, they back their phone system up on a floppy, which is pretty old technology. So, the big floppies.
Do you have an estimated cost of the replacement?
The estimated budget is about $80,000.
The vestibule,
Yes.
at $27,000, and the last building committee meeting we had at Beecher School, where we just, based on discussion for security, that whole end of the building was going to have to be addressed. Okay, and I thought part of the discussion was there may be some more space to help resolve that vestibule issue.
Oh, okay.
And that came up at our in our meeting. I mean, if we're going to secure the building and they're going to have vestibules, have something extending off that building, what they're talking about probably would not fit in with the security program, new security program recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that was discussed.
So that would
based
mean,
on the charge that we were given by,
would that mean we just eliminate it?
Well, we'd still eliminate it from the next year's budget, and then, would there be some sort of vestibule inside
yes,
the building?
because we have to secure, that end of the building has to be secured.
Right.
And, you know, the issue was about space. They're talking about realignment of space and things that could be done, and there is a recommendations. We hired a consultant, recommendations are gonna be made,
Okay.
and so I would think that that's gonna be part of that program.
Okay. So it's out of the budget anyway with this recommendation, and then there will just be perhaps not the action of using the contingency. So-
And I'm sure dollars are gonna be needed to be spent on it, but I mean,
Yeah.
it'd probably be part of that whole
Right.
Project.
security affecting the south wing by the pool.
Okay.
Okay.
So those are the recommendations.
Okay. So that would get us down to a 1.5% increase?
Correct.
Is there anything else that might come up? Of course, there's always a possibility, right?
There is.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we have
Including
to-
Dr. Brady said there may be some
Right.
reductions to
Right.
Amity.
We have some time.
So we have some possibilities there. Health, there could be a possibility for health insurance reductions, absolutely. And perhaps some other insurance reductions. And we of course have till after the public hearing to make your final recommendations to the town. So at which point you can review those at that time.
And the public hearing is on April.
April 22nd, I believe. Right?
Well, I think considering what we just heard of the size of the increase of Amity, to be at this point is tremendous. It's really, it says a lot about all the work done by the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance. If we can get this down even a little bit lower, I think it's a tremendous result, so.
And the Board of Education.
In the Board of Ed, right, they help. So do you want some action on this, Tony? Now,
Yes.
Is this gonna be the number, or are we gonna change it now because of this vestibule?
Well, I think the vestibule is already eliminated from this budget.
All right. All right, so we'll just change
Right, because
contingency.
it'll come out.
Yeah.
Right.
Contingency,
So the amount you take out of contingency will change, but, you know, based on
That's
what.
not gonna affect next year's budget.
Right, just won't affect next year's budget.
So you want a motion
To recommend this to the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to recommend to the public hearing a total expenditures of $45,492,195. Total non-tax revenues of $4,156,762. And the amount to be raised by taxes, $41,335,43, which represents a mill rate of 34.22.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And again, keep in mind that we're not done, hopefully. We'll bring this to the budget hearing on April 22nd, hear what the townspeople have to say. We should be getting more and more information, and we can continue to change things as we go forward. But again, I think, considering where we started, I think this is a fantastic result. And everyone is due a lot of credit. Okay. Next is funding requests. So we just have one.
Just one, right?
And this is a request for funding from miscellaneous revenues, not coming from contingency.
Correct.
It's for $9,500 to cover expenses related to data processing. I'll move request for funding 1213-18 in the amount of $9,500.
Second.
Anyone want to sign this, Tom?
We just had some additional, we didn't really budget enough in the original budget for some of these expenses, and they just were a little more than we had anticipated.
Okay. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Approval of minutes. So where are we now with contingency, Tony? You have
There should be a sheet.
68, but there's 69, there's going to be 30 coming out of that?
Correct. 30.
30 for the, we had talked about the Parks Department truck, which died.
Right, so
It would be better to get it for him. Obviously, we don't need to get it for him in July or August.
Right,
So we're going to be doing that soon.
right, correct.
So we're still at about 39.
Right, so, and you will have a much better idea
Yeah.
next month in terms of what, you know, we're gonna need that for other things, or
Yeah.
we can use it for
So
other
maybe we
projects.
can do a little bit more.
Right.
Again, any dollar we take out of contingency to offset an expense for the 13-14 budget is a dollar less the taxpayers have.
I think one thing we'd like to wait for is, this FEMA designation for hurricane, for the storm Nemo.
That hasn't happened.
That hasn't happened yet, so that would have an impact if, for instance, they did not.
Okay, good. Okay, approval of minutes. The first set of minutes is our regular monthly Board of Finance meeting on Thursday, February 21st, and I'll move acceptance of the minutes of February 21st, 2013 as presented.
Second.
Any discussion, corrections, adjustments? Anybody? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
Abstain.
2 abstain, okay. Next was our meeting to discuss the budget on Tuesday, March 5th. And I will move acceptance of the minutes of Tuesday, March 5th as presented.
Second.
Any discussion on these? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained. Okay. All righty. Next, Ed, first selectmen's report.
As you know, the state DOT is conducting a survey, traffic study of the Route 15 interchange at Litchfield Turnpike and Amity Road, and I've been informed by David, head of the DOT, that either in late April or early May, the consultant who's been working on various proposals will have a further public session with residents of Woodbridge and New Haven, probably here in Woodbridge, on a draft plan for some changes to that interchange. So we look forward to hearing that. Jill Schaefer, a Woodbridge resident, has offered to organize Red Litter Day to encourage residents to clean up the debris after the long winter we've had. Red Litter Day will be on April 20th, and so she will be making a presentation to the Board of Selectmen on April 10. We'll give publicity to that. There'll be bags around the town that you can fill up and leave there for the Public Works Department to pick up, and so we'll have a sort of a spring cleaning for Woodbridge. Monday was recognizing Board of Education Member Day, and so I appeared at the Board of Education and thanked them for the good job they do on the Board of Education and also the fine budget that they gave us. Woodbridge has filed an application for a microgrid, which is being promoted by the Department of Environmental Protection, Energy and Environmental Protection, and we survived the first round. So we are among, how many towns is it?
27.
27 applicants that have been approved for the next round. And so we require some sophisticated engineering support, which will be funded by the state of Connecticut, approximately $55,000 per applicant. We'll have that support application, and we haven't yet received the RFPs yet. We anticipate to receive them in the next several weeks, and the application will probably have to be submitted on or about June 1st. But what this microgrid does, provides a backup system for energy here in the town center, including Amity High School. And actually, you can actually run the entire source of energy here for these buildings, even not as a backup, but as an actual support. So we will be retaining a consultant who actually assisted us gratis for our initial application. Hopefully, we'll be awarding it to them to do the heavy lifting on this next application. Yesterday was Read Across America Day. Yes. The Beecher Road School, and Joe Hellauer and Tony, myself, and others were there to do that, to read some Dr. Seuss, and brings you into another world. And today we installed our new fire marshal, Joseph Capucci, who is a retired fire marshal from New Haven, was sworn in this afternoon, and he will begin work as our fire marshal beginning tomorrow. And then I have a sad note to report that Joe Anastasia died today at age 94. He was a prominent Woodbridge resident, served as a member of the Board of Selectmen, and so we'll sorely miss him. So that's my report.
Okay, thanks, Zach. Okay, liaison reports. Amity, I don't think I have to say much more. We've been, there was a meeting on March 11th, which I attended on, of course, we're continually speaking about the budget. Of interest, the Orange Board of Finance unanimously voted against the budget, as they always do. Yet the Board of Education unanimously approved the budget. So the 7 Orange members voted for the budget, and yet the Orange Board of Finance unanimously voted against the budget. So I don't understand what their vote means, but and I don't understand why this year with a 2.49% increase, all the Orange members were just absolutely in favor of it. And last year with a 0.47%, they were all opposed to it. Well, 5 of them were opposed to it. But every year is a different story. The only thing that was brought up, and they're still, as everybody, Amity is still licking their wounds over the snowstorm. We don't have a number, but they got buried, excuse the pun. It's going to be a huge number for the 3 schools, which they believe they'll find a way to pay it. They had already pretty much spent their budget. And now they have to make up for that storm and a couple others, to be honest with you. So I'm sure in the next meeting we have, I'll get a figure on what that storm cost. But they're currently running, despite the tight budget, they're currently running an $86,000 surplus, which is a good thing. So hopefully there'll be maybe a few more savings, and at the end of the year there might be some money available to either offset next year's budget or get refunded to the towns. So, but as you saw, I think his presentation speaks for itself. I mean, the accomplishments of the students and the faculty and the administration at Amity are exemplary, to say the least, and it's quite a place to send your kids for an education. It really is. Mike, do you have anything?
I don't. The Board of Fire Commissioners meeting has been postponed. It's either going to happen next Wednesday or the Wednesday afterwards.
Okay, Ian?
I do.
Okay. Andrew?
I did not attend. I was out of town.
David?
I was out of town.
Okay.
Well, I went to the library commission on February 27th. This was a special meeting. It was the canceled meeting during the snowstorm. And the Friends had their annual meeting. It will be the last Monday in April, I should say. And they are looking for board members. And I told them again that they should, advertise for that, for people who want to join Friends of the Library. There was a Super Bowl Sunday event, and they had 275 people come to that event. And it actually is, for kids and adults. So, I mean, it really shows that the library is a center of action in our community. There is the state proposal to cut library funds, so they are a little concerned about what that will do in terms of their budget. We also talked about the fact that they don't have any computer replacement in their budget, and that's something maybe that Todd should consider going forward. It's not like they need a lot of computers. It would probably come in under $5,000, but it could be programmed into their budget going forward. And again, that doesn't affect their current requests, but something for Todd to look at the following year. Todd did go to the ALA meeting in Seattle, and he was a very active participant, and there was a lot of discussion about ebooks and really what to do from the perspective of libraries, and the fact that all the libraries are really looking for the publishers of ebooks to bring the price down. It's just really expensive for them to do this. So they talked about lots of different strategies in terms of how they might work together to be able to make that happen. Interestingly enough, there was a request to donate money to the library in exchange for putting a plaque up in honor of somebody. So it was decided by the commission that they needed to form a little committee to come up with a policy about how to handle this, which I think was the right thing to do. And Tom, Jeanette, Karen, and Todd, and a member of the staff, will make a recommendation to the commission at their next meeting. They will contact other libraries and see how this is handled. But there definitely needs to be a policy to follow. It really can't just be based on ad hoc requests. Bethany is actually considering joining Lion, the Library Association, and that would really be helpful to them, I think, to do that, and Todd has been very supportive of them doing that. As you know, the carpet has been replaced, but it was not without its consequences, I guess. There was actually not enough carpet when they originally did the installation. So they had to close the library on another Saturday to be able to install the rest of the carpet. And there was also an issue of it not lining up correctly in the community room because there's a pattern in the tiles, but that will be fixed. So it was a very interesting meeting for the Library Commission. Then on March 11th was the Woodbridge Board of Finance Committee for the Board of Ed. And we went over kind of where they think they will end up at the end of the year. And we also did discuss the fact that with the early retirements that they would be able to propose a 0% budget increase. There really is a desire for them to be able to use their surplus at the end of the year on a specified number of projects that they would like to fund internally that were not part of their capital budget requests. So, I mean, they will formally have to come forward and get approval, first of all, from their board and from the town to be able to spend those dollars. But it has to do with their portion of the telephone, the PA system that we spoke about, replacement of the cafeteria tables, starting the process of replacing tiles in the cafeteria to help with the acoustics issues that have been there since they actually built the cafeteria, and some math resources for the curriculum, and that's and some interior painting. But they will come forward with a more formal request, but that will be coming. Scott came from McGladrey & Pullen to kind of go over the audit. That was a request of the committee, and basically there were no findings, but he clearly explained that the way they do the audit is that they view the town as a department and the Board of Ed as a department, so they do the same, level of investigation, transaction review, policy review there. And he was very complimentary of the procedures and policies that are in place, and they did not have any findings at all. And that's my report.
Actually, the Board of Ed does not need to come to us for approval. They could spend that surplus any way they want by statute.
Right, but they
in
will.
the spirit of what we've created,
They will.
they will, and they'll keep us wise, because I'm sure Ed remembers, and I don't know if anybody else was around then. There used to be a year-end free-for-all with the surplus. They'd spend it on anything and everything. They rekeyed the school one year. They put up security guard. But since Dr. Stella came on board, and that word transparency is one of his favorite words, and it's good. I mean, it's their money, and I was made aware of some of the things they want to do, and they're all worthwhile projects, which eventually have to be done anyway. So.
Just got one thing.
Sure.
Would you care to comment on the chair that you're chairing about what we're doing on the energy thing?
No, go ahead.
All right. Well, we've gotten another assist from both United Illuminating and the University of New Haven. They loaned us 2 engineering students. We did a complete inventory, including total measurement. A lot of help from the assessor and other places. And they're working on that final thing. Obviously, one of the things on our energy saving is the conversion that we're having from the oil to gas. And we'll be receiving some commentary from the engineering department from the University of New Haven, because they're very pleased. We thought the kids did a great job, to be honest with you, but they seem to be very pleased, and they're going to want an answer from us as to what we think, which we'll take care of next week.
The goal is to really track the savings that we have over a period of time, and to really be able to report that publicly. And so they're looking. Go ahead.
And if we can justify that by saving, then we become eligible for another grant.
Exactly.
And that's what we're working towards right now.
So thank you to Joe for helping organize and arrange all of that.
Okay, our next meeting, I believe, is April 18th, Thursday, April 18th. Is that correct? And then 4 days later, the 22nd, I would hope we could all be there, because budget hearings always become lively discussions in election years. So if we could all attend, it would be helpful. Give me a little help when they come under fire. So With that, I'll move for adjournment. I'll move for adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.